Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor. Today I'm going to be doing a manga review on Death Note, story by Tsugumi Ohba and art by Takeshi Obata. If you guys don't know, Death Note is pretty much the most popular manga on BookTube. Loads and loads of booktubers have read at least the first volume of Death Note, but I have finally finished the Death Note series, and so I'm going to give you my thoughts today. Death Note is a 12-volume series, and I collected them in the bind-up, so there's 6 volumes, but each one has 2 actual volumes in it. But while checking online, the actual cheapest way to get it is to get the box set, which has them all as individual volumes, and it comes in a nice little package and it has an extra thing to it. But basically in this manga, the gods of death, which are called Shinigami, are real, and they all have these notebooks that are called Death Notes. In here, a character named Light Yagami ends up picking up this Shinigami's Death Note. If you're curious, this is Light and this is the Shinigami that dropped it, Ryuk. And what's cool is that when you write someone's name down in the Death Note and you have a picture of that person in your mind, the person ends up dying, and you can specify when or how they're gonna die, but there are a bunch of rules and everything like that which you learn as you go through the series. Once Light decides that he wants to create a better world and kill off all of the criminals, people start trying to find out how these people are dying and trying to figure out how to stop it. They end up finding out that someone or something is behind all of these deaths, and they start calling it Kira, and then the whole story is about Light, aka Kira, killing off all of these people and trying to remain anonymous, and people trying to find out who Kira is or what Kira is and trying to stop it. As usual, I'm going to go through my pros, go through my cons, give you my rating, and be done. My first pro for this manga series is that I really liked the exploration of that idea of if you are able to kill people and get away with it, what would you do? And you get to see a bunch of different people's viewpoints on that one question and how different people will react to having that ability and having those powers and being able to do that differently. You also get to see people's reactions when it comes out that there is someone or something behind all of these deaths, and you get to see how the different people of the world would react to something like that. Do they worship the person that's doing it? Do they try to fight back? Do they just run and hide and hope that they can outlast whatever the heck is happening? It really explores all of those different things. My favorite part of this manga series is that it's incredibly clever. I really loved all of the games between Light and his main nemesis, L, and the different layers of plots and plans that these characters have to do to try to one-up each other. It just got increasingly more and more complicated, and I really loved reading about that and trying to figure it out for myself and wondering if he was going to get caught, if he wasn't going to get caught, what was going to happen. I really enjoyed the suspense of this series and the cleverness of this series. And I think that Tsugumi Ohba is just a very clever writer, because I have since read Bakuman, which I will be doing a review of soon, but that series is incredibly clever too, so I just think that it was great in that regard. L ends up being Light's nemesis, and he is one of my favorite parts of this entire manga series. He is so funny. I really loved his character and his character development and the way that he thought and the way that he interacted with people. It was just incredibly entertaining, and I could not get enough of L. In the end, I think this manga wrapped up and ended very well and very strongly. I think that it had the perfect ending for this entire manga series, and I couldn't imagine it ending any other way. And I know that a lot of manga writers will continue their series for a really long time, but I appreciated that this series wrapped up and ended in a good way instead of prolonging it further, which would have been very frustrating. I think that the mood and tone of the writing and the art style also matched the concept of this world really well. All the characters have very dreary and gloomy expressions, and everything is a little bit darker than I've seen in other mangas that I've read. In addition to that, the pacing of the story changes pretty quickly, so it can go from being pretty slow paced to speeding up really quickly and then going back to slow paced, and it kind of gave that vibe of being a prey, and a predator is stalking you, and then he chases you for a little bit, and then you're safe and you think you're okay for a little bit, and then it chases you again. It just had that slow fast plotting device, and I think that if that was done on purpose, that was perfect. And my last pro that I'm going to talk about, I just wanted to show you a little bit more of the art, is going to be that I think that there was a very realistic evolution of the characters and of the world during this series. With everything that's going on, it creates an incredible amount of pressure, and so the characters are either, in Light's case, trying to avoid detection, and that's an incredible amount of pressure in trying to kill all of these criminals and create a better world, and while fighting off people trying to find out who he is, and these other people that are trying to find out what is happening and who Kira is and what Kira is, and trying to stop him is an incredible amount of pressure because you are trying to protect people's lives. And you can see those things gradually grating on the characters, and the effects that that has on them is pretty realistic, as well as the whole world in general. And I think that this manga series does a really good job of showing how much influence the media really has, and portraying something in a certain way will sway a lot of people to thinking that exact same way. And so the media had so much control in this series, and I really appreciated that because I think that they really do. A lot of people's main source of information is news stations, and I think that they played a huge role in this book, and I really appreciated the realistic nature of the media in this manga series. There was just a lot of really good world building in this manga series and character development. Now I'm going to talk about some of my cons. My first con is that I really liked the beginning half of Death Note a lot better than the second half. It really dropped off, and the story really suffered from then on out, and it sort of dragged a bit, and I was really hoping that they would wrap it up soon because the beginning was so interesting and so enthralling, and the second half was not as much, and I didn't really get invested in the second half as much as I was in the first, so that was a con. And the only other con that I have for you is going to be that there are a serious lack of female characters, and I think that's really in manga in general, especially shonen manga, which is geared towards a younger male audience, so they have a lot of really cool badass guys, but not as many girls, and this series really reflects that. There are hardly any girl characters in here, and the ones that are in here are incredibly stupid or frail or really just not your strong female characters that a lot of people would like. And so I really wish that there was some more female characters that played bigger roles or were more important or at least intelligent and self-sufficient, but there weren't, and I didn't like that. But those were my only two cons. Overall, I really enjoyed the Death Note manga series. I ended up giving it 4 stars as a series overall. It all fluctuated in between 4 and 5 stars, 4.5, it was all in that range, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you are trying to get into manga, because so many booktubers have already read it, and I think that it really is one that you can just jump into without having any previous knowledge of manga or how it's made or anything like that. So that's going to be my review on the Death Note manga series, story by Tsugumi Ohba and art by Takeshi Obata. I have not watched the anime fully. I kind of lost interest, but my first thoughts on the anime is that Light seems a lot more crazy in the anime than he does in the books. I mean, obviously he's killing a bunch of people, so he has to be a little bit crazy, but I didn't expect it, and also he has a way deeper voice than I expected. But then I ended up just losing interest in it, so I'm sure I'll finish it eventually, but not yet. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and comment down below if you've read Death Note. Have you finished it? What were your thoughts on it? Who is your favorite character in the entire series? And if you have any other manga recommendations for me, leave those down in the comments, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!